how much does a typical community spend on recreation centers, and how does Evanston compare with that?
You know, I don't know, Bill, that there's a typical. Clearly, I think by anyone's measure, we have a few more than probably most communities our size. I think that's a community standards issue in Evanston. I think our challenge is with any set of facilities, you try to have a long-term plan, you try to fund improvements incrementally. That's not something that's happened in Evanston. And so since that's not happened in Evanston, I think we find ourselves with higher, more pronounced lists of facilities that need work and higher bills associated with them. So I think that, again, it's a community standards issue. We didn't even talk about the lakefront other than the Dempster boat launch on the tour. So you have that, plus you have 75 parks. There are all issues with those as well. So I don't see that the community is going to say less community centers, less parks anytime soon. So we're just trying to be as mindful as we can to bring these issues to the fore and start looking for ways to fund them.
A number of people have cited studies that suggest that in terms of park land, that Evanston is lower than the average community for park space. But you're saying that by contrast, we're perhaps more heavily endowed with recreation facilities on the parkland that we've got. Is that?
And I think it may be a function of climate. That it's great to have outdoor park facilities, but if they are not usable because of rain or snow over an extended period of a year, it would make sense that we would have more. So I don't know that that's any great surprise. But again, I think it comes from a community standard issue, and in many communities, they are not blessed to have the number of neighborhood parks that we have. It's easy to gain acreage when you have larger park facilities in some of your communities. Well, we have 75 parks, and I don't know the answer to this question, but the average square footage of an Evanston park is probably smaller than it would be in a lot of other communities because of the neighborhood park. So it becomes a community standards question. I think one of the things that makes Evanston Evanston is the number of community parks we have. They may, on a square footage or acreage basis, not be as much as other communities, but when you look at sheer numbers and the sheer numbers of places that people can go, many for passive recreation, some for the active recreation, may just be a swing set or a jungle gym. So again, it's a community standards. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer for Evanston or really any community, but we have what we have. I think the community likes what we have, and our challenge is to make sure we have enough funds to support what we have.
Is there any kind of metrics that City Managers Association or some other organization may have put out about what in order to keep community facilities in good repair over the long term needs to be spent, say, per square foot, or in some other metric that would be comparable, so that people could get an idea of whether Evanston is doing as much as it should to maintain its parks and other facilities? Sure.
I mean, there are metrics dealing with fields. There are metrics dealing with facilities of all types, not just recreation facilities. So there's some general benchmarks, but again, you start quickly getting into apples and oranges. Again, what I said as we started this part of the conversation, that really what we need to move toward is a long-term capital plan, taking into account all of what we have, and then coming up with a way that we can fund it in increments. I mean, and I think that's what works best for Evanston.